know it's difficult, but tough it out. My body is a Greek tragedy. Frank the Burnout confirmed this. Every day after high school, he threw me up against a barbed wire fence, burned me with cigarette butts, and made me sing, "Don't worry, be happy." He always laughed at my sagging shoulders, whiny voice, and lame gestures. He always said the obligatory, "You're a wimp." I said, "No, I'm not." He then said, "You're a wimp." Realizing this was getting nowhere, I changed my approach. The next time he said, "You're a wimp," I said, "Can you please leave me alone? You're hurting my feelings." He then said, "Man, you are a whip." So then I kicked him in the groin. Throughout my life, I have been the subject of ridicule because I don't fit people's preconceived ideal of the all-American male. I'm not a bohunk. Surprise. But what I'm going to talk about isn't a surprise. Because our society has a stereotypical image of the ideal male, many people suffer from the confines of this stereotype. We'll look at first America's definition of masculinity, second the ramifications of this definition, and finally I hope to provide a few solutions that can curb the prejudice towards those who don't fit the definition. What is America's definition of masculinity? I ask myself that question every day after I was ruthlessly dehumanized by Frank. I wanted to find out who people perceived as the ideal male and then attain his traits. When I found the answer in the November 1989 issue of Psychology Today, I wept. It was Jesus Christ. Was Alan Alda. When I reread the name and imagined myself as an Alan Alda clone, I heard Frank saying, "You're a wimp." In another popularized study, sociologists Cohen and Ewert found that college students define males as adventurous, ambitious, practical, strong, confident, and not having any interest in art or literature. Having an affinity for poetry and not being particularly adventurous. I feel like Evel Knievel when I stay up until midnight and watch Wild Kingdom. I realized that I once again faltered in possessing stereotypical masculinity. To embody all the adjectives that college students perceive as masculine, I realized that my only choice was to become a bullfighter. But I soon gave up that idea after I realized red really isn't my color. I'm more of a spring. I don't look very good in sequins. And I'm afraid of anything that weighs 200 to 300 pounds more than me, and yet is still more agile. By looking at these two surveys, it is blatant that our definition of the ideal male is woefully constructed from our limited perspective. For many men, like myself, who come across as effeminate, the ideal is unattainable. I even reread the first survey to make sure there was nothing I could do to improve my image. I could never be as sensitive as Alan Alda, and who the hell would want to? Unlike Gandhi, I'm afraid of big crowds. I'm claustrophobic. And I could never be as dynamic as Jesus Christ. My life is a celebration of non-existence. After looking at masculinity, I'd like to examine the ramifications that ensue when a male is perceived as anything other than the ideal. Psychologist Dennis O'Donovan and researcher Judith Wagner connected 32 men and women to a polygraph machine to measure stress and tension levels. The men and women were asked a series of questions, some that were neutral. Is it April? Do you like chocolate ice cream? And do you think sumo wrestlers should wear turtlenecks? Some that were same-sex oriented. They'd ask men, is it easy to make you fight? They'd ask women, is it easy to make you cry? And they'd ask Dr. Ruth, do you ever shut up? And some that challenged sexual identity. They'd ask men, would you rather be a woman? And they'd ask women, do you find Steve Fellner attractive? When women were asked a question that challenged their sexual identity, their stress and tension levels barely differentiated from the results reported from the control questions. But when men were asked a question that challenged their sexual identity, their anxiety levels increased dramatically. And in one case, when a man was asked if he ever dreamed of Alan Alda, the machine broke down because his stress levels were so high, and the man went into an uncontrollable frenzy. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking no more Alan Alda jokes, and do something about those gestures. And Steve, how the heck did you get to AFA finals without any visual aids? I'm my own visual aid. Limited by society's stereotypes. And no, I'm not pitting myself. And no, this isn't a setup for a joke. There really is no punchline. It is, though, possible to transcend these stereotypes. Take this weightlifter on my dorm floor. He says to me, you should consider taking hormone injections. So I say to him, I'm already working on it. I thought it was obvious, but I've been on steroids for the past 6 weeks. Realizing his mistake, and the fact that I would be the top-ranked ideal male in the next Psychology Today poll, he and everyone else on my dorm floor began a cult in honor of me. We all have identical hairdos. We all look like we put a Tupperware bowl around our heads, and our mothers shave off the excess. You're thinking, Steve, you can never be the top-ranked ideal male in the next Psychology Today poll with that hairdo. Arsenio Hall placed 4th in the poll, and look at his hair. After looking at and the ramifications of that definition, it's time to now ask our final question. What are our solutions? Let's begin socio-cultural awareness in our schools at even a younger age. That's pathetically idealistic. Also, how does that help the men who don't fit the contemporary image of masculinity now? It doesn't. We need to take swifter, more immediate action. I propose that we hire hitmen. Shoot down people like Frank, then toss our corpses on national landmarks, and finally, I'll prance around their dead bodies. Final rendition of Don't Worry Me. For those of you who are gun shy, I have a few alternative solutions. We need to advocate self-actualization. Men need to know that it's okay to be sensitive. Men need to know that it's okay to show pain. Men need to know that it's okay not to look like a JCPenney underwear bottle. No offense to Mr. Lively. If we institute campus-wide weekly forums within our colleges, men and women will be able to actively and candidly discuss their gender roles. I also propose we make a human relations course a requirement for all students. This way we can learn about ourselves and the ways other people perceive us. And I can figure out why when my dorm had a buy a guy mail sale fundraiser, I was put on wholesale. So, examined America's definition of masculinity, the ramifications of that definition, and I've provided solutions that can foster a positive self-image in members of both sexes. It is, though, largely up to the people who are the target of hostility to acknowledge their differences in an open realm, whether it's in a friend's dorm room or in a round in a speech tournament, in an attempt to make the differences that much more visible and that much less freakish and weird and strange. But if worse comes to worse, get revenge. Make your detractors realize their idiosyncrasies. Make them feel freakish and weird and strange. Call them wimps. Then run like hell.